most DUI cases, the prosecution of driving under the influence is built on a couple of core areas of evidence. One is the field sobriety test, and many of us know it as walking the line or touching your finger to your nose. What is the accuracy of these tests? And how can they accurately determine whether or not my ability to drive a car is impaired? Because ultimately, that's the standard on a DUI case. Their accuracy may or may not be clear, especially since we're viewing the results of those tests through the subjective lens of the officer who's administering it. That's one of the most difficult parts. Remember, the law enforcement officer who's having you provide field sobriety tests on the side of the road, that officer is biased against you. He is there to arrest you and take you to jail for DUI. Having that in mind, do you think his observation of your performance on these tests is going to be fair and objective? Of course not. And what he writes down in the report an hour later when he has you at the station, we only hope that it accurately depicts your performance on that test and accurately reflects your level of impairment, if at all. Furthermore, some of the tests require very subjective determinations. There is a test where they hold a pen in front of your face and ask you to follow it with your eyes to either side. That test is commonly known as the horizontal gaze nystagmus test. And it's looking for your eyes to be bouncing as it follows the object at about 45 degrees. There's nothing more subjective than that, than an officer trying to determine what degree off to the side your pupils are. Is it 45 degrees or 70 degrees? And these differences matter when it comes to trying to assess a person's level of impairment. Now, the second more common way that we always associate with DUIs is, was my blood alcohol content at the time of driving 0.08% or more? That's the legal standard here in California. Now, is that test accurate, whether it's breath or blood? Well, it depends on a couple of items. One, which breath test is it? Is it the handheld preliminary alcohol screening test that's administered in the field? That test is much less accurate than the breath test administered at the station that's sitting on the table. The key difference is the test at the station has capabilities that the PAS test or the preliminary alcohol screening test does not have. The test out in the field can't determine the difference between your blood alcohol content or just a high concentration of alcohol in your mouth or throat area, whereas the test at the station can. The blood test takes blood directly from your vein and actually measures the blood alcohol content rather than measuring alcohol in your breath. Clearly, the blood test is more accurate. But all of these tests are subject to a key problem, which is they're all administered after the fact. They're all administered sometimes an hour, 2 hours after you've been driving. It's not illegal to have alcohol in your bloodstream when you're sitting down in a chair at the police station. It's only illegal to have a high blood alcohol content when you're driving. And that's never when they test you. They never test you when you're actually behind the wheel. They only test you sometime later. So with keeping these things in mind, we have to focus on how we defend these DUIs, how we protect your right to drive legally, and how we protect your rights in the criminal justice system. We've handled hundreds of DUI cases, providing our clients with the best defense to these highly speculative and oftentimes biased opinions as to whether or not you're under the influence at the time of driving.